This is the douchiest video introduction I've ever done in my life. And I've done a lot of douchey video intros before. But it is all in the name of good, because I think that we do have something to celebrate over finally. And to that, I will actually take a swig of Jack Daniels. One take, bitch, because I will not last 2 swigs of this if I have to do another recording. But in all seriousness, the past 6 months have fucking sucked dick. Let's all take a breather for a second, as if being up, 12% yesterday and 15% today wasn't enough. I do think that everyone needs to just take a step back and consider what the past 6 months have been. Because, well, before I even get into that, there's going to be a lot talked about in this video. There will be chapters at the bottom if you want to scrub or navigate through all the topics that I'm going to go over. Like, subscribe, fondle my balls, the usual. Very much appreciated. But yeah, the past 6 months have been gruesome. We were trading at $72 about 6 months ago. And now here we are at 19. GameStop was up around 300 and is now at 100. So both of these things have fallen by 66%. Some more than less, maybe, depending on the day you pick. But it's been fucking incredible how much has been learned, experienced, shit talked. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun these past 6 months, and a lot of shitty moments for my P&L, and I'm sure everybody else's. But on a real note, for everyone that has supported, stuck around, been a realist, been a pessimist, been a troll, whoever you are, I want to say thank you for being a part of this, because this would not be the same without you. And on top of that, there has been a lot of good hearts throughout all of this. And if it wasn't for those good hearts, for those of you out there, I don't think any one of us would be around still. This is definitely a battle of attrition as far as how we navigate what's going on and how much we're willing to stick around, because this all started as a squeeze play for most. But as we've dug into, well, why is it not squeezing? You started to realize just how fucked up things were. And now it's matured and grown into a bigger fight of ending market corruption, ending insider trading by Congress, more transparency throughout markets, the same markets that dictate your raises or your firing. It's all connected. And when you have this mass of people who have curiosity, wit, and resentment for the system that has fucked all of us, you can find a lot of interesting things, and you will find that some interesting changes take place with that. So on that note, thank you to everybody. Let's dive into this real quick. A couple things. Up 15% on the day, February 9th, 2022. I came across some interesting tidbits that I'm going to dive into here. First off, and this is not my finding, but utilization is at 100% on AMC and GameStop as far as the data being reported by Standard & Poor's to Ortex. So that's a very substantial part of the surface area to the securities lending market. That's a huge surface area, though, that Standard & Poor's captures from the securities lending market. And to not sound like a pompous, overly technical and semantic douchebag, basically what that means in English is that the entire market for being able to short a stock and those who are willing to lend shares out to be sold short, a very large majority of that is captured by Standard & Poor's, who is the data provider for Ortex. Ortex simply consumes that data and then makes it pretty and presents it to the public for a much smaller premium than that of which Standard & Poor's charges for their own data set. So that being said, utilization is at 100% for AMC and GameStop. So you're going to see cost to borrow start to go up. You're going to see volume probably pick up from intermittent covering. You're going to see a lot of really interesting movements, to say the least, as institutions begin to react to the absence of shares to borrow, because utilization for now is at 100%, and anything above 75% should already spell danger for anybody who is still short. I also want to point out that we had a huge open interest absence take place earlier in late January. On the 24th, we had over 1 million contracts expire. Some of these maybe were in the money, some of them maybe were not. Either way, this allows for a different direction to be taken via options, which are derivatives, which for some reason dictate the underlying and the way it moves, but we'll get to that later on. With that being said, though, when you have this new direction being able to take place within the options chain, it typically allows the underlying to either have a reversal or continue a trend with more velocity. But as you can see, the open interest is at an all-time low relative to mid 2021. Either way, this is abundantly high, but it's been dwindling consistently for the past 6 months. So you have options premiums being weighted to one side or the other, on the call side or the put side, bearish or bullish. And for the past 6 months, you've obviously seen that it's been very bearish. When you see open interest get this low, you're opening up opportunity to have a different change of direction for the options market, which means that you will see the underlying take place with that, despite how fucked up that sounds, because options are a derivative and the whatever. So my last point on the current point that I'm going to point out is, if we're assuming that we had 1 million contracts expire, in the money, out of the money, doesn't matter. If we're assuming that all of them were calls and that all of these calls were hedged for with borrowed shares, right? That would mean that we had 1 million options, 1 million calls expire and worthless or in the money, doesn't matter. But if we have 1 million calls, that means that we have to have 100 shares, assuming they're all fully hedged for. We've had this concept of max pain for a while. It's been hurting a lot. It has been very maximally painful. That's for damn sure. I think, though, that it's safe to say max pain and the tail wagging the dog, aka derivatives influencing the underlying instead of the other way around. I think what's been going on is that the short interest that we've been seeing, you know, every day it's 3 million shares available, 6 million available, 0 available, and then out of the blue you have another 6. You get the pattern here. I think this has literally been short interest, borrowed shares being the substance to the call options being written that have been adding downward pressure for the past 6 months. I think that has been the entire charade that's been going on. And this has been a suspicion of mine for a while. But after seeing this open interest fluctuation and absence take place, and then seeing the reversal, I think it's literally just been premiums being navigated up and down the ladder of the options chain for the past 6 months. And again, if you're aware of max pain, if you're not, dig into it. But if you're not aware, I really think this is what's been going on. And this has just strengthened my rhetoric and my conviction of all of the crime that we've been seeing is in the options chain. And that's one of the most opaque parts of the market in terms of reporting and data to the public and even to regulators. So seeing this massive absence of open interest, I think to me is one of the biggest signs of a reversal. On top of the fact that we're seeing 10%, 15% days back to back, the majority of it is bullish volume. You can clearly see that this is all buying. If we ever have any red, it's just establishing a support and then quickly fires back up and rinse and repeat for 25% for 2 days in a row now. So this is huge. This is big. This is very considerably sized, to say the least. On that note, though, 100% utilization, a huge decay of the options chain, which means a new direction can be had, up 25% in the past 2 days. The chart looks fucking magnificent. I think that we finally have some change in the tune. Finally. Stay black. Shout out to Joey Diaz.